Hi everyone, I'm Kevin Nelson. Here's a look at what's going on this week in the news. We begin with news from around the world with World Youth Day in Krakow, Poland coming up at the end of the month. Final logistics are being worked out for the many events taking place throughout the week. The event, which runs from July 26th through the 31st, is expected to bring 2 million people from 187 countries to the southern Polish city. They will be accompanied by 47 cardinals, 800 bishops, and 20,000 priests. The July 30th to 31st vigil and mass on the 4th and 5th days of Pope Francis's visit will require nearly all of the participants to make a 9-mile journey to Campus Misericordie. According to Anna Chumara, World Youth Day's communications coordinator, the long walking journey has always been a feature of the event. Chumara said all registered groups from the various sectors will have their paths precisely indicated to keep people moving and avoid log jams or safety hazards. The closing events include an evening vigil July 30th at the campus as pilgrims stay overnight at the site. World Youth Day concludes the morning of July 31st with Mass and recitation of the Angelus before Pope Francis departs for Rome. And of course, you can watch all the main events of World Youth Day right here on Catholic TV. And as we have just heard, pilgrims will be doing a lot of walking, and what better accessory to have while walking than a backpack filled with World Youth Day items and info. Rome Reports has more on the Pilgrim kits for all World Youth Day participants.
The Krakow volunteers and staff have publicized the contents of the Pilgrim kits to be given out in July to youth from all over the world. Each young person will receive one of 3 backpacks, blue, red, or yellow, complete with white design for the WYD logo and various materials inside. There is a colored poncho, a microfiber scarf reading Amazing Poland, a multi-purpose handkerchief, and a rosary bracelet which says, Jesus, I trust in you. There are also books to help the pilgrims follow along with the Pope during the week. The Pilgrim Guide, The Pilgrim's Guide Around Krakow, and a prayer book called Jesus, I Trust in You, an extraordinary book on divine mercy. Each item was carefully chosen in order to allow each person to have the ultimate experience centered around mercy during the Jubilee year.
Looking now at news from around the country, since the recent Supreme Court tie vote that resulted in affirming a lower court's ruling blocking the Obama administration's plan to temporarily protect some 4 million people in jeopardy of deportation, Catholic advocates, although disappointed with the ruling, say it has spurred them on to work harder to reform the country's immigration system and push for better understanding of immigrants. In 2014, Obama issued executive orders expanding a 2012 program known as Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA, and creating the Deferred Action for Parents of Americans and Lawful Permanent Residents, known as DAPA. Ashley Feasley, Director of Advocacy for the Catholic Legal Immigration Network, said the plan was simply seeking to get a reprieve from deportation and a work permit for a group of people who had been in the country for a long time. Feasley added that while what the president proposed in his recent case offered no legal status, it sought to make things right where it could. In the meantime, advocates vowed to keep exploring options in this administration and in the one that is to come. The best thing to do, they say, is to make a personal commitment to accompany those who are suffering and keep working toward building a country that understands what immigrants face. In news from the Vatican, a question and answer style book with Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI is set to come out in the fall. Rome Reports has more details on this first ever book by a Pope Emeritus.
The Pope Emeritus, often regarded by the Church as one of the sharpest theologians and writers, will be sharing a new piece of print in September. A book-length interview conducted by German journalist Peter Seewald will be available worldwide. The text will reveal a series of questions and answers about his pontificate, his resignation, and his successor. The German publisher says that within the 288 pages of the book, Benedict notes his experiences during the first few days after his election as Pope, the fact that he did not manage to sleep, and how 8 years later he was very concerned that someone would leak the news of his resignation. Benedict also says that he watched this moment on television, Pope Francis's election, and how it came as both a surprise and a great joy for him to see how he prayed and communed with the crowd. This will be the first book in history written by a Pope Emeritus. It's already being rumored to be listed as a future bestseller. It's the 4th time that Ratzinger gets interviewed by the German journalist Peter Seewald, who published 2 other lengthy interviews with him while he was a cardinal and during his papacy.
And finally in the news, the prosecutor of the Vatileaks II trial has petitioned his request for the sentencing of those accused. For Francesca Ciauchi, he has recommended 3 years and 9 months in prison as a conspirator for the plot. For Monsignor Lucio Angel Valio Balda, the prosecutor is asking for 3 years and 1 month of imprisonment. The prosecutor believes that he was the engine of this conspiracy. For Niccolo Maio, he is asking for 1 year and 9 months in prison because of his limited responsibility and involvement during the events. And for journalist Gianluigi Nuzzi, a 1-year jail term is recommended. The prosecutor has asked for the acquittal of the other journalists involved, Emiliano Fittipaldi, for lack of evidence. The prosecution accuses Ciauchi, Valio, and Maio of forming a criminal association. They consider that the three formed a structure within the Vatican state to disseminate information. The prosecution is asserting that this association has been a danger to public order and security for the Vatican. It's not known when the court plans to reach a decision about guilt or innocence and which sentences, if any, will be imposed. Well, that is all the information we have for you this time. I'm Kevin Nelson. Don't forget, you can keep up to date on Catholic news throughout the week with Catholic Newsbreak right here on the Catholic TV network.